All right, welcome back. Let's do video viewers to our luxurious penthouse suite boardroom, and I'm here with a first-time guest, Nathan. Nathan, could you? I'm so happy to have you, man. Could you please introduce yourself to our viewers?
Absolutely. First of all, thanks for having me. My name is Nathan Coutinho. I run strategic partner relations and market insights at Logitech.
Now, the reason I'm having you here is because we're both very interested in video collaboration, and Meeting Room in particular is one of the things that we're big on, among other things. We're both content creators, and not just because we're creating the content, but we like talking about content creation. We like the art of content creation. We like what we're learning from content creation, and we both play guitar.
Oh,
So
we do. We do.
I have to hang out and talk with you, but I realized a lot of what we talk about, our viewers are going to be interested. So let's, out of respect to our viewers, let's start. This is Let's Do Video. What they're expecting us to talk about is, and I'm going to put a little twist in this. Usually what I would say is, let's talk about the trends in the industry. In the olden days, 18 months ago, now I had to say, let's talk about the trends in the industry other than AI.
Yeah.
Is there
Yeah.
anything other than AI happening in the industry that we should be talking about?
Yeah. Actually, it's funny because I think everyone's sick of talking about AI, but it's there. It's everywhere. It's in every product. It's in every piece of software. So you can't get away from it. But I think the other pieces that are interesting now is that I think we've gone past this whole we should do hybrid. How should we do hybrid? I think we're finally over that. And people are just working again, which is fantastic. But how they're working is different. And this is where even as of a couple of weeks ago, we did this big event in San Jose at our HQ. And this is an event series we just started. It's called Logi Work. And we had customers on stage, which it's great talking about it and having great speakers, which we did. But understanding what customers are actually dealing with it is interesting. And what I learned through meeting with these customers, ahead of time and then running the panel was that they're still at different places. They're not all exactly in the same place. Some are still doing a lot of large rooms, and mostly because they're doing more town halls. Some are going back and are refreshing all those older, remember the huddle room from like 10 years ago, right? Where like just put a webcam on a TV and it's good to go. Well, now they're realizing that's not good anymore because people are expecting more. They're expecting better audio. They're expecting better video. And they're going back and they're refreshing all those rooms. So it's just very different. Some are focused more on sustainability. There was one customer on this panel that I was amazed by the level of metering and auditing they're doing in terms of how they buy products, how they choose to buy a product, whether it's sustainable or not, and how they then refresh that product over time, getting rid of the e-waste properly. And they're measuring every team on how they do that. I thought that was phenomenal. But not everyone is doing that. So to me, it's interesting that everyone's at a different spot right now.
Yeah. Oh, first of all, I love the sustainability story. I'm a supporter. There's an organization called Save AV, that is for the AV community, and they're all about sustainability, recycling our old gear. What do you do with those old cameras? Encouraging sustainability in manufacturing. So to hear you from Logitech saying that you're as excited about sustainability as I am, that's a great way to start. But what you're hearing is exactly what I'm hearing from my viewers and from end users that I talk to. I'm not allowed to say the H word anymore. Hybrid. We're just sick of hearing it. Not that it's not true, but we're just sick of hearing it. The old H word was huddle. That was also true. We get sick of hearing it. So we're just calling it work. It's not the new normal. It's not post-pandemic anymore. It's just work. But the reality is, with work, a lot of your people are remote. I won't say it. It's just that's just the fact. When we're in a room like our, I can't resist. I gotta press my little buttons here.
Oh man, I
It,
wish we
it,
had more people in the room with us.
it used to be every seat was full, and now
Right.
it's kind of normal that the two of us are sitting here, maybe two or three other people, and everyone else is remote. And we're trying to figure that out. And like you were also saying, I'm hearing the same thing that you were hearing. Other words for saying it, video everywhere.
Yeah.
And okay, you're with Logitech. I'm a video evangelist. Let's do video. Of course, we've always been saying video everywhere, but now it's not us saying video everywhere. It's the end users. It's not us convincing them you need video and everywhere. They're coming to us and they're saying, we need video everywhere. And like you said, what we used to call huddle spaces, we got simple solutions from one thing I'm hearing in particular, and I'm not just doing this because it's an excuse to press the button again. It really is true. Is they're saying even the big spaces. That's something that's been challenging. We got all kinds of amazing video bars and stuff for small and medium spaces. Big spaces are challenging, and Logitech has some cool stuff. We'll talk another time. But you have some big big space stuff. But should we I almost feel like we got to talk a little bit about AI, huh? I mean, I'm doing a show now with Kevin Keeler. I don't know if you know with the AI chefs, and we give tips,
Yeah.
recipes for AI.
I mean, how can you not? I mean, it's just it's on every, like, we're using the tools all the time now, and it's, it's changing rapidly, which is, in my opinion, is the scary part, because it's hard to keep up. It just is.
It really is. I've gotten to the point where I'm starting to really rely on my little AI friends. Before you got on with me, I went to ChatGPT. I said, "Hey, I'm going to chat with Nathan. I want to make sure I don't talk about fun stuff like guitar for me. I want it to be interesting for my viewers. Help me out." And they helped me restructure the questions because I care about my viewers, and I needed someone to talk to. AI is my friend.
By the way, this is just an interesting thing that I've found. I don't know if you've probably experienced this because you're a guitar player, but there are a lot of people in AV that are into music. It's
Yes.
just funny. There's so many people play guitar, play bass, write music, compose. Our engineers, there's a lot of them that do it. They actually compose their own music and stuff like that. And so it's really cool to see that. I never really thought about that until I kind of started engaging with more folks in AV like yourself, and realizing, wow, there's a lot of artistic talent. And it's not just music, right? It's there's painters, there's artists, there's I guess it makes sense when you're designing rooms. You have to have kind of like a design brain or an artistic brain, right?
Yeah,
So it's
well,
kind of cool.
I think about it. I think part of it is because when they were kids in high school, they had to use those tools.
Yeah.
So if you were in a high school band, you got good at using the sound mixer. And not everyone turns out to be a rock star. So hey, I'm good at using sound mixers, and I love doing this. I'm going to be an AV person now. So I think a lot of them were high school musicians, well, still current musicians, but hobby musicians. But it's absolutely true. I joke about that. I've been playing guitar for about 8 years now, but as soon as I started playing, I started working it into my presentations. And I was giving a presentation for AVI Systems, and I had a guitar on stage. I was making some point. I used a Beatles analogy or something. But I'd only been playing for a couple of years, so still, And as I'm setting it up, the AV guy says, "Can you please let me tune that for you?" Like he was not only a musician, he was a good enough musician that he could hear that it was out of tune and it was bothering him. And I'm like, "Well, I have a tune." He goes, "Just give it to me." And I handed it to him, and he tuned it by ear and handed it back to me. So
There's a great use of AI, right? Just put it automatically into your stream, so it'll like warn you, hey, by the way, your fifth string is completely out of tune, or remotely out of tune, whatever you want to call it. But there are tools like that. At least I have a pedal on my board where you can strum all 6 strings at the same time, and it'll tell you which strings are out of tune. That
wow.
has saved me a lot of time on stage, a lot of time. Because you just basically go mute, you just do one thing, and it'll tell you
Do one
exactly.
at a time.
Yeah, you don't have to do all of them one at a time. You just boom, just do it like that. Like,
Wow.
man, that's a great tool.
How to get
But
so
anyway,
good?
so what do you want to cover on AI? We use AI in all our daily lives now, heavily across the board. The one I'm actually surprised in my personal life that I'm using a lot more has been Apple Intelligence, because it's just there, and it just helps so fast on any menu, any website. It's already there. So I use that personally. I use a lot for audio video production, obviously, and then we have it in our products. So where do you think, from your audience perspective, what would they want to know?
One thing that I think is that you guys do that's a particularly interesting use of AI, because yes, there's AI in all the products, and to be honest, you've been doing it long enough that it's not new anymore, and it's gotten really good. In your audio equipment, the noise reduction in your video equipment, the tracking and whatnot, all that's AI, and all of it's been good for a while. So I'm not
Yeah.
I've seen the demos, but one thing I love is the one of your device, the sight. That sits in the middle. That's a lot more AI, because that's not just it hears a voice and it points the camera at the voice. That's impressive enough. It really has to know what a person is, because it's talking to the video bar at the other end of the room, and it knows when I turn my head which camera to use to look at me. That's a lot of AI. That's
a lot of AI.
That's
Yeah.
like having a director sitting in the room.
Like, it's interesting where I think I'll discuss this in a little bit depth, because I think a lot of people have concern over AI as well. I mean, I think 50% of the folks I talk to are like, wow, this is great. We should have it, in all our products. And then the other side is just like, well, what is it collecting, and is it identifying me, and is it using my data somewhere? And is there going to be another video out there with, Dave and Nathan talking about it, but it's not really them? Like, did they steal our identity? Those are all real great questions, by the way. These are not like, crazy questions. These are realistic questions with the kind of stuff of deepfakes and stuff like that we're seeing out there today. But so the way we do AI on our video systems, and this is not just Sight, this is Rally Bar, this is Rally Bar Mini, on our operating system, which is called Collab OS, which is our version of Android that's secure. We basically look for objects. We're not looking at people. We're not identifying you. So if you and I if this room were real, wink, wink, right? And we were in that room, and you and I both walked into the room, and Sight or Rally Bar started to frame us, it doesn't know it's Dave and it doesn't know it's Nathan. It knows it's a human because we're looking for a head and a torso. So that's like level one, in my opinion. Like we're identifying that there's a human object that we need to frame and follow around if that person is speaking. With Sight, we took it really, really farther, and we're going to take it even farther ahead now with the second Sight when we announce daisy chaining, when that becomes available next year. But basically now we're looking at not just the bodies that are speaking in the room, but we're now looking for eyes, your nose and your mouth, and also counting ears. So does the camera see both ears? Then we're probably looking at the person from the best possible angle. And that's what we should then frame and then send to the far side to Microsoft or Google or Zoom, right?
Do I need to get a haircut? I'm going to have to get a haircut now, huh? You sound like my mom.
Well, it's some of the artifacts. It's not all the artifacts. It's some of the artifacts we're looking at, right? But then when you have now 4 cameras, essentially, so you have 2 cameras on site that are pure 4K sensors. And then you have in a Rally Bar room, you have Rally Bar, and then you have the AI viewfinder in the set. So there's 4 cameras at any given time. This is before daisy chaining, right? That can see where you're looking and then decide if that's the best angle or not. So we were constantly looking at, we don't want people and go in the room and say, oh my God, that camera's on the table, I need to be constantly looking there or looking at that camera. We want people to have a completely natural conversation, right? That's what we're there for. That's why we build all this stuff, right? We don't want it to be hard or frustrating for them. So that's what we essentially do today. We use the AI for good. We're not identifying. We're just trying to figure out where the people are looking, where the audio is coming from, so we can use the right mic in tandem with the right camera system to point, frame, and go across to Zoom or Microsoft or Google or any other platform actually that you attach, because even in BYOD, this works fine. Now, when we add the second site, it's going to be great because you can now expand to much larger rooms, like 24 person to like larger, like probably 36 person rooms where you have 2 sites on the table. But the calculations get harder, if you can imagine, because now it's not 4 cameras, it's 6 cameras. So the good news is we have enough power in our side cameras as well as Rally Bar to do all the computational type stuff. But again, end user, they don't have to worry about. They don't have to worry about, am I looking at the first side or the second side or the one on the, right below the TV? We do it automatically. So I guess my point being is, you should ask the questions as to where the data is stored, because I think it's important. But we are not doing any kind of generative AI on this thing, right? We're basically trying to figure out where to frame. And then what is important, though, and I think this is very important for the next level, which would be Microsoft Copilot or Zoom AI or Gemini from Google, because transcription, speaker attribution, at some point in the future, multi-stream as well becomes very important. But the way to make sure that works properly for all those platforms is for us to give the end users the best possible audio and the best possible video of the person and their audio to make sure attribution works correctly. So again, at some point, people will get identified, but that's after we send these streams to Microsoft, Google, or Zoom, and whoever else that comes along for the ride eventually, because that's when they start pattern matching. And by the way, if we were in this room and it was a Teams room, and if we both opted to not say, use my face or use my voice, that data would still be transcribed, but it wouldn't say Dave said X.
It would say
Nathan
the
said
room.
X. Right. So it's really important to understand kind of like the separation of, from a security perspective and privacy perspective, how the data is getting processed. But then it's also cool, in my opinion, to understand how it's all working and how the sausage is getting made in the background. That's the part where I kind of get really excited about.
Yeah, well, I'm a nerd too. I love the technology behind it. But what
Oh,
a
we
few
both are.
things I love about that. One is, yeah, I can't stop talking about AI. I love it, but we're throwing AI at everything. But this is AI that solves not just solves a problem; it solves the very problem we were talking about at the beginning of this video.
Yeah.
The big room problem, or the tough room problem, the confusing room problem, the non-standard room, the video everywhere problem. So I love the fact that it's AI, to actually solve a problem. I love the fact that it's something that the users don't have to worry about. Just have a natural conversation. Just look like I'm looking at you, look across the room, and the cameras will figure out, um, um, who to look at. We really, not the new normal in today's working world, whatever we're going to call it. This is what we really need. So that was, I think that was a great example. Should we move on to? I want to talk about content creation a little bit.
Yeah. Let's
Um,
do it.
let's see. We have your unscripted, and I know most of these guests. I love most of these guests.
Good. Small
I
community.
recommend everyone go check this out and watch some of these videos. But I love that you're doing this because you know they talk about, yeah, drinking your own champagne. I mean, obviously, you're using a bunch of your own products,
Yep.
products that we talk about and cover to do your podcast. So it's not just the content of your podcast that it's interesting. You and I are being, podcast buddies and talking. We had a whole conversation about different mics and mixes that we're using beforehand. Do you feel like this brings you closer to your customers and helps you, like, inform you at your role at Logitech?
It does. I think when I started this it was a personal project, quite frankly, and it started at ISC last year. So this is not even 8 months old at this point. And initially it was like, well, I would love to get other people's opinion on what they saw at the conference. And so I had Barton Moxness, Craig Duran, a couple folks that I'd met there. And at the fourth episode, I'm like, okay, we've got to stop talking about like highlights from ISC because there's got to be something better to talk about. And what I decided to pivot on then is people, their passions, and by the way, regardless of technology, because one, we do a lot of product marketing and our customers know about our products, and that's great. We'll keep doing that. But we also care about people and their passions, right? And I'm like, okay, this is, again, still personal, but then became the Logitech B2B podcast eventually because we have all our customers, all our partners on, and we're still kind of focused on people that are doing good for the world. So I've got some really great guests on there that came on and talked about, you know, um, solving for next generation, adding women in tech in the Philippines, and helping young girls get like really good with AI so they can then go work for Google or Microsoft or whoever else. So there were a lot of interesting talks that I had, and I'm like, you know what, this is going to be about the people. This is not going to be necessarily about Logitech, but it's obviously something that Logitech supports. We want our people to kind of not just, yes, think about tech for sure, but also create products that they want to create, that their mom or their uncle would love using, right? And then highlight their strengths and what they're doing unique in the world. And so it's kind of really adapted and kind of changed, and I'm sure it'll just keep changing as we need to. But I'm kind of excited about next season. I've got a lot of big names that are coming in on this one, and we're going to do a little bit more of a focus on leadership, more at the
Nice.
C level, understand what's driving people, what's driving passions at their level. But again, it's their show. I come on there. I actually eliminate a lot of things. I don't know if you noticed this, but a lot of times I'll just talk to talk, as I'm doing right now. And I'm like, you know what? It's not about me. It's about the guest. I want them, their passion and their advice to the world to go out. And that's what we focused it on. And it is unscripted. Like we go to the show and we jump on and I'm like, all right, like, what do you want to talk about?
That's
And they're like,
awesome.
well, I really care about this. And then we go. There's no notes. There's nothing. Like we just go. And it's about being natural. And I do use some of our products on there. I actually don't. I try my best not to product position because I just feel like come on, like if you want to really know, you can ask me. But I do use a lot of our products. I'm using it right now. I'm using the Yeti Studio, right? But I also use third-party products. I'm using the Rodecaster as an example to be my preamp and my interface into the system. I use a Mevo Core camera, which is from our streaming division on the gaming and the education side. So I use a lot of our products, but I also use a lot of our partner products as well.
Yeah, I just remembered Logitech. You guys have Streamlabs.
We do.
A
We
lot of
have
my
stream.
younger friends on the Twitch sides are big fans of the Streamlabs. We should talk about that some other time.
Yeah, yeah,
Um,
absolutely, absolutely.
so let's wrap this up by talking a little bit about guitar. We both play guitar, but you do something that I don't do, which is you play outside
I
in the
do.
real world with other people.
I do.
I stream guitar and people say, "Are you in a band? Are you in a band?" And my standard answer is, "I'd love to be, but I'm afraid I would let down the band members. I'm afraid that I wouldn't practice my part or I would show up late for practice." I feel like it's a commitment. If you're gonna, tell other people I'm going to be in your band, but I've seen some clips of you on LinkedIn.
Great.
The jealousy, I'm losing my ability to speak. The jealousy is overwhelming me. So can you
It's
talk
funny.
a little bit about the live music?
Yeah, sure. So it's been a passion of mine for a while. I'll be honest. I have little kids and I travel, so it's very hard to schedule. And I have started two bands and then taken steps back from them in the last 5 years. One, it just the commitment was too much. It was a large team, a large group of people that, I mean, the more people you have in the band, honestly, it's harder to schedule, not just for gigs, just to practice. So I said, you know what, I'm going to do my solo thing again. I'll play occasionally. I'll do family parties, like, but pretty low key type things. And then the gentleman I was playing with, who used to be my boss at one point, he's like, no, no, I still want to play with you. So he kind of forced the agenda. And then so we started, I started a second band, which now I'm kind of like, again, I don't have the time. So what he's done a really nice job where he's kind of built up a group of people. So we're a trio. We're three guitar players, one's electric, two are acoustic. We all sing. So we're trying to balance it out
Nice.
where it's not me singing the entire time. It's not my band, it's our band, right? And that way everyone gets a shot at playing their favorite tune or singing their favorite tune. And I'm good on I'm okay on lead. I'm better on harmonizing and doing backup. But we all kind of take our parts, and we're all B plus average players. I wouldn't say we're not going to cut a record or anything. Um, but we play a little bit of everything. We play, like most bands should do. We play to the community. So we have a gig this weekend, and actually one of them has to go out. So it's two of us playing. So we're going to figure out how the dynamics of that's going to work. But we'll be fine because I've played solo many times.
Mm.
But it's at a winery in Long Grove, Illinois. Broken Earth Winery is where we're playing this weekend.
That's
And we
awesome.
we play the crowd. Like we'll do literally from 60s to current day. Like I
So you don't have a
tried out.
set list. You kind of gauge the crowd and say, "Hey, let's do this
We
next."
we do have a set list because we really need to practice and learn the
I was
songs
gonna
before.
say because you're
Sometimes,
about to blow my
yeah.
mind. I need to know the songs I'm playing weeks in advance.
I will tell you if it's a good show and people are dancing, which usually that's the case, and it's late at night and they say, I really want you to play this, we will just like pull up chords and start. Like if we know the song, it helps, obviously.
Right.
But someone asked us to play Meatloaf, and we're like, oh gosh, like how are we gonna do this?
Can make it
And so we
work.
just kind of did like a couple, like a verse and a chorus, and they were happy. And like, it's like, again, we're there for the people. We're not there to like play our favorite song. And we learned that the hard way, by the way, because I think first we were like, I want to play this and I want to play that. And we're like, they don't want to hear that. They want to
Yeah.
hear Margaritaville. It doesn't matter. Everyone wants to hear Margaritaville over and over again. It doesn't matter, right? So we're like, we're gonna give people what they want. So we play the crowd, and a lot of times we'll play stuff that we don't want to. Like I actually learned a Frank Sinatra song this week, which we've never played Frank Sinatra live, and I'm like, I'm gonna do it this weekend. And actually, the bandmate doesn't
I
know that,
bet
so I
you
should probably
enjoyed
tell
it.
him.
I bet once you learned it, I bet you like it now that you learned it.
It's awesome. It's jazzy. It's not something we normally do, but I'm like, let's do it different. If it bombs, it bombs. Who cares? Like we'll play another song, right? So it's fun. Honestly, I've played a lot when I was younger, and then I just went 20 years and never played at all, and then got back into it. It's a high like you cannot describe. You should try it. You really should,
I should.
because
Even
it's a
online,
great time.
it's still a live audience. If I have 20, 30 people watching me,
Yeah,
I still feel that energy, even though they're just text in a chat.
yeah,
And I experience a lot of the same things on a lower level. Live is live, online is online. But I
yeah,
started out with the 5 songs that I like playing, and then
yeah.
I started taking requests, and I'm so glad I did. I learned a lot of music I wouldn't have learned otherwise. And if the crowd is happy, I'm happy. If they want to hear me play Crazy Train again, I'll play Crazy Train again. And I thought I would be sick of it by now. You know what? I'm not sick of it because
Nope.
everyone in chat goes, "Yay!" And that's the best feeling in the world.
I will tell you one thing that I absolutely dislike about playing live is I'm the sound guy, the camera guy, the band guy, the cable guy. I do it all, right? I have all the power, everything. So what I hate about it is like you load it up, you have to get it out of the basement into the car, then from the car to the setup, then set it all up, do the sound check, finish the gig because we play 3 hours almost straight sometimes. And then you have to put it all back in the car and then
Yeah.
get it back home and then unpack it. Like, it's just like this repetitive stuff just drives me nuts. And some of this gear is heavy. I have like EV subs, like we were talking about your EV mic. I have EV subs and CP and array system for speakers, and they sound great, but they're heavy. Even though I bought the lightest one. So I told my wife this is like, God, this is like, I love playing live, but I hate the whole setup and all. I just want to like be like a rock star and
You
show
need
up.
roadies.
Yeah, no, I was going to be a rock star. And she just burst out laughing. She's like, you're not going to ever be a rock star. I was like, I know.
I know,
It's nice to think about, right?
but
So
I get it.
that's my biggest gripe is like find someone who knows how to do sound and mixing and all that stuff, because then you can just show up and play.
Yeah. And
Which is
AI
the
can't
most
do it
fun
yet.
part. It's getting close. Like,
It
so I'll be
is.
honest,
It
there are
is.
ways to automate what we do. There are 100% ways to do it. And there are mixers that are fully digital now where you can put all these settings, you can do multiple in-ear sounds and all that stuff. It's great. But here's my fear. And I'm the technology guy, Dave. And I'm saying this. What if it freaking breaks? What if the iPads
Oh,
don't work? What if the Wi-Fi? I have a guy that carries his own Wi-Fi router with him to make sure the mixer works. I'm like, okay, timeout. This is taking all the fun out of it, and I'm now creating anxiety. So I'm just gonna go analog. I literally have a Yamaha analog mixer. Almost all my
wow.
stuff is analog except the wireless stuff. And by the way, there's a backup. If the wireless doesn't work, you plug analog in and it works.
Yeah,
So
analog's
we
gonna
always
work.
have a backup for something, like extra cables, extra batteries, extra everything.
Although it is part
And
of rock and roll. You know that scene in Spinal
it
Tap
is,
when using the wireless and he starts hearing the talk from the naval base next door when he's trying
yeah,
to
yeah,
play
yeah.
guitar
Yeah.
and
Oh,
he
and
freaks
yeah, I
out.
don't know. You can't see it because
Yeah.
like we blurred the background, but I actually have a throw pillow that has a dial that goes to 11, just so you know.
Oh, nice, nice.
Yeah, it's a great movie.
Oh, the best.
Oh yeah.
Oh, all right. Well, it was so great to have you here. You'll have to come back soon. Everybody, I'll put
Happy to.
links in below for Unscripted and everything you know about Nathan. And thanks everyone for watching. Take care.
Thanks, Dave, for having me on. Appreciate it.